Now, the U.S.-led coalition has bombed Syrian army's positions near the eastern city of Dayr. The attack targeted a military airport at the vicinity of the Thardah Mountain. Now, according to the so-called Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, at least 83 soldiers have been killed and over 120 wounded in the airstrikes. The Russian Defense Ministry has put the death toll at over 60. Spokesman Igor Konashenkov said the U.S. will be responsible if the current ceasefire breaks down. He said if coalition bombing of Syrian army is a mistake, it's evidence of stubborn U.S. refusal to coordinate its actions in Syria with Russia. And Moscow said that ISIL had immediately gone on the offensive after the strikes to take control of the area. The Syrian government has condemned the raid, calling it, quote, conclusive evidence about the support of the United States and its allies for Daesh terrorists. U.S.-led coalition is yet to comment on the raid that came amid a fragile ceasefire in Syria.
We halted the attack when we were informed by Russia that it was possible that we were striking Syrian regime military personnel and vehicles. We are investigating the incident. If we determine that we did indeed strike Syrian military personnel, that was not our intention. And we, of course, regret the loss of life. This said, even by Russia's standards, tonight's stunt, a stunt replete with moralism and grandstanding, is uniquely cynical and hypocritical. Since 2011, the Assad regime has been intentionally striking civilian targets with horrifying, predictable regularity. They have besieged civilian areas, prevented life-saving humanitarian aid from reaching people who are starving to death and dying of illnesses that could be treated with basic medicine, which is ripped out of trucks and pocketed by Syrian regime forces. And yet, in the face of none of these atrocities, has Russia expressed outrage, nor has it demanded investigations, nor has it ever called for a Saturday night emergency consultation in the Security Council, or a Monday day, or a Tuesday day, or a Wednesday day, Thursday day, Friday day, Saturday, Sunday, you name it. If there's a day of the week, they have never called an emergency consultation.
Having conducted this airstrike, the United States has violated two of its commitments. One is the commitment to cessation of hostilities, which the United States undertook together with us in February, and which we reconfirmed just a few days ago. And the other is the commitment the United States gave to the government of Syria when the United States started its air campaign 2 years ago. The United States promised to the Syrian government that their airstrikes are not going to affect the position of the Syrian armed forces. That did not put the United States fully in line with the international law because they did not receive the consent of the Syrian government, but the fact that the United States committed not to strike the position of the Syrian government created certain conditions for continued cooperation with the United States politically and on a number of practical aspects of the situation in Syria. It is quite significant and frankly suspicious that the United States chose to conduct this particular airstrike at this time. Why would all of a sudden the United States choose to help the Syrian armed forces defending Dayr? After all, they did nothing when ISIL was advancing on Palmyra. ISIL made a 100-mile march without being attacked by the coalition. All of a sudden, the United States decides to come to the assistance of the Syrian armed forces defending Dayr. It is quite significant, and I would suggest not accidental, that this happened just 2 days before the arrangements, Russian-American arrangement, were supposed to come into force.
This week, the US has said the coalition attack on Syrian troops was an accident. Do you accept their explanation?
No, it's not, because it wasn't accident by one airplane for once, let's say. It was 4 airplanes that kept attacking the position of the Syrian troops for nearly 1 hour, or a little bit more than 1 hour. You don't commit a mistake for more than 1 hour. This first. Second, they weren't attacking a building in a quartier. They were attacking a huge place constituted of many hills, and there was no terrorist adjacent to the Syrian troops there. At the same time, the ISIS troops or the ISIS militants attacked right away after the American strike. How could they know that the Americans are going to attack that position in order to gather the militants to attack right away and to capture it 1 hour after the strike? So it was definitely intentional, not unintentional, as they claimed.
Did Syria or Russia launch the attack on the Red Crescent convoy this week? And should Moscow be held responsible, as the White House has said?
No. First of all, there have been tens maybe of convoys from different organizations around the world coming to different areas in Syria for the last few years. It has never happened before, so why to happen now, either by the Russians or the Syrian? No, it's a claim. And regarding the claim of the White House yesterday, accusing either the Syrian or the Russian, in that regard, I would say whatever the American officials said about the conflicts in Syria in general has no credibility. Whatever they say, it just lies and, let's say, bubbles, has no foundation on the ground.
So what happened to the convoy? Who should be held responsible?
Those convoys were in the area of the militants, were in the area under the control of the terrorists. That's what they should accuse first. The people or the militants, the terrorists who are responsible of the security of this convoy. So we don't have any idea about what happened. The only thing that we saw was a video of burned car, destroyed trucks, nothing else.